From the ashes of the old world, in the shadows of the last great war, the world was shattered by magic. Plains became deserts, mountains crumbled into the sea. Witches and heretics are burned in the street, lined with oathbreakers hung by their necks. Where once was law, order, empire, now only hardship and savagery remain. To the east, in Highport, a weary king rules an ungrateful people. To the west, his brother keeps swords sheathed and words of rebellion at bay. To the north and south, savage elves and cowardly dwarves openly practice arcane arts, shrouded by leaf and stone. In a time when a man's worth is measured by his word, when might makes right, and a quick death is a mercy, only those more foolish than brave venture far from home. The age of peace and prosperity has ended. In its place, only strife.
Hello everybody and welcome to Age of Strife, episode 2. How are you guys doing today?
Really good.
Good. Excited for today.
Why are you excited for today?
Because we're going to kill a witch, Neil. We're going to burn them.
Maybe not. We'll see what today has to offer. It's a complicated world and there's a lot going on. But what have you guys been up to this last week? Anything interesting?
Last night I messed with Sir Slothman in a D&D game and had the party encounter a dragon, which is the half lion, half dragon.
Mm-hmm. How did it go?
I had to leave at a cliffhanger because of a certain natural 20 charisma roll against it. But obviously it was going to attack. Then I changed it around a little bit.
So they're not getting killed by the dragon? Not yet, at least?
Yes. We'll find out, see how it works out next time when we play that game.
Nice. What about the rest of you guys? Anything interesting going on in your lives?
Well, I'm currently sick. I had to cancel my Saturday game and my Sunday game, so that was disastrous. But I can be here because you guys can't catch what I've got, so that's good. Yeah, I've got some painting. Yeah, this is my Monday game. Yeah, my Monday morning game. So I'm very happy that I've got it. I know.
Is this like 5 a.m. for you?
No, it's 2:30, or it's 2:30 now a.m. I know. I'm now dedicated to the art of role playing, but my wife's very accommodating, so that's really, really good. She left me a note saying, "Have a great time playing D&D."
Oh, that's so sweet.
So yeah, that's really nice.
How long have you guys been married?
Since March.
So very recently.
Yeah. We got married and we bought the house a couple of months after that. So everything's moving along in a nice little progression. So it's good. I heard you talking the other day about wanting to buy your own house so you can actually do permanent things to it.
Never gonna happen in the United States, man.
Yeah, well, it is right. Actually, the OECD pointed out that housing is a huge issue in Australia.
Yeah.
Or the lack thereof. So you're pretty lucky to get something. It's not perfect, but it's sort of like the worst house in the best street, so that's good.
Still, that means you get to do your own stuff. You can tear down walls. You can put up walls. You can.
That's true, but it's not the perfect house. So there's always the economics of that. Like, do you spend like the $10,000 to get the jar of floors put in, or do you just put carpet in, which is cheap and will still add value to
right, or a pipe breaks, now you're out $7,000 for repairs. And
that's right, and you don't actually own the house until you've paid it off. The bank owns it, so you're trying to pay it off while upgrading it.
Taxes.
Sorry, what was that?
Then you still don't own it because you got to pay taxes.
Well, that's a separate thing. But yeah.
I don't know if Australia is different than here in the U.S., but ownership of a house, it's all just an illusion.
An illusion?
Gas and illusion spell on everybody.
Do you still own your house even if you have to pay taxes on it?
I
Like,
don't
you,
know,
you
man.
own the
Don't
money
pay
that comes into your
taxes
bank
and sell
account even though you have to pay
everything, though.
taxes.
That's
It's true. It's true. You're always only leasing the land as such, but you still get compensation for it. So realistically, you are owning it, I guess.
What about you, Bradley? Anything going up this week?
Been working third shift all week, so rough week. Almost done with my third shift stretch, so I'm very, very happy. Very slow night at work last night though, and I spent like most of the night working on a pantheon and assigning like spears to a whole like set of pantheon to gods. So it's kind of a headache, but in the end, I was pretty happy with what I had. It's still a work in progress. So
Nice. Cool. What about you, Patrick?
I too have been a little bit sick. Nothing too bad, but there's that, and I did get a new mic since my headset mic wasn't that good. So I got a new one. Hopefully it goes okay. I know it picks up a lot of background noise, so if I ever move my chair, it's just going to be like screeching. It's really loud.
Give the example. Go on.
Okay.
Yeah.
I told him that if we walk through a door, he needs to lean back in his chair for sound effect.
Yeah, it's really loud.
You got instant sound effects though. That's pretty cool.
A little bit. I need to figure out something to use my keyboard for too.
Does it sound like maybe Sounds of Combat? If you can like spam your keyboard and it's swords on shields, maybe?
I don't know. I'd have to figure out a good rhythm for it.
It could be rain on water, maybe.
Maybe. I don't know if we'll need that, but maybe.
Probably not.
But other than that, I've been playing some more NBA 2K, and that's about it.
Nice. Cool. Well, why don't we recap what happened last week? Party members, what happened? What went down?
Who's the War Master? We get an experience recaps.
Yeah. If one person does a recap, I'll give that one person 200. If you guys split it between you all each get 50 for it.
Well, probably not for me because I have the 10% anyway, and I'm a fighter. So
Now we're metagaming recapping.
yeah.
Well, actually, but fighters take the most experience in this party. Bards and thieves only take 1,250, so the fighters are going to need it more than anything.
That's true. So Pat, you're up.
Okay. The head of our family, Danny, she got blinded by some thugs and possibly a magic user because there were no traces of anything that could have blinded her.
Mm-hmm.
So we all went on a witch hunt, going around to tons of different taverns. And eventually we found their hideout in the Drowned Rat near the fishing docks.
Mm-hmm.
And we tried getting them. We tried doing some covert operations. We brought the sheriff in, and by the time he'd come, they were all out the back door. And after that, we kind of went on a wild goose chase, knocking on doors, harassing people, almost cutting off somebody's something. I don't remember what it was. Somebody was about to be mutilated, but luckily that was stopped.
Cool. That's actually a pretty solid recap. So why don't you just mark yourself 200 experience right now? And we're going to come into game. It has been a week since the incidents of the last session.
Ooh.
Yes.
A week.
In that case, what happened during that week? Because we had active things that we were specifically doing.
Right. So you had worked with some street urchins and asked them to keep an eye out and look around. The police had been walking around looking for people. You had
I specifically would like the street urchins to find out about the protection racket so that I can pretend to be it eventually.
Right. The protection racket, the street urchins didn't really find out too much about. Everyone seemed really tight-lipped, didn't want to speak up about it, probably too afraid of retribution if they said anything. And the two little kids just they just couldn't figure anything else out about him. No one has seen hide nor tail of the Longclaw clan. They've just vanished over the course of the last week. Maybe they've left town, maybe they've taken to hiding somewhere. Whatever it is, they are laying low really well, and no one can find any trace of them. They've basically just kind of gone up in smoke. Possibly more pressing has been a long dry spell. We're nearing the end of summer. It is now September 25th in game time. I think last week I said it was going to be August something. I misspoke. It's been September. Last week was September 18th. Today is September 25th. It's been a week of in-game time. This long, dry summer has not been so great for the crops here. The farmers say that they need at least one more good rain before the harvest, or their crops are probably just going to die in the fields this year, and it's not going to be too good. That's kind of been what's been going on in the background. All the talk in the town is, holy crap, if we don't get another rain in before harvest time, we're screwed and we're just out food for the winter. So a lot of people are kind of panicking about that. Food prices are on the rise, and there have been fights in the markets over potential food supplies. We're going to come into game while you guys are all in your house. Let's go down.
Oh, sorry, Neil, just before we do that.
Yes.
I just noticed my overlay, you've got my Dex and Int switched around. It should be Dex 11 and Int 13.
Dex 11 and Int 13. Okay, thank you for bringing that to my attention. I will get that fixed. Dex 11 Int 13. Yes, I will get that fixed up in just a moment.
Thank you.
So we're going to come into game. You guys are in your house. In fact, you are in Danny's bedroom. She's propped up in bed, kind of staring straight ahead, not really looking at any of you guys. She's called all of you here, including some of the other household family members, basically I think just Henry, to talk about what's been going on. And she starts off. She starts off saying, well, kids, got some problems. Spent the last week trying to find the assailants and get back whatever money they stole from us, which would have been enough to hold us over for maybe a whole year. And nothing's come of it. The way I see it, our pockets are running dry, and we're in bad shape. If we can't scrape together enough money to cover our expenses in the next week or so, well, we're gonna have to start selling off our property, or maybe even selling the whole house, and we will become nobles in nothing but name at that point. That'll be the end of our dynasty. I don't want to point any fingers. I don't want to say any one of you is particularly responsible for this, because it's truly a group effort, but what I hear, you had the enemy in sight, and you choked. You didn't want to risk it all, and you lost them because of it. Now you guys need to learn the hard lesson of this world, is that nothing's easy, nothing comes free, and if you don't take any risks, you're gonna die. Poor, alone, and sad. So I'm calling it quits on this project. If they pop up, go ahead and find them, but we can't waste any more time looking around dead ends for nothing. Now, Henry here has been looking over the books and says we are pretty much broke. And the end of the month is coming up. There are two ways to make money in life. You can make money from nothing. It is hard, it is slow, and it is safe. That's what peasants do. They grow crops, they make, trade goods, they fashion nails from iron ore. It's generating wealth from nothing. It is a slow, honest, reliable way of making money, and it is safe. The other way is taking money from those who have it. It is easy, it is fast, and it is dangerous. Now that's the way that we make money. That's the way all the nobility makes money, whether you're taxing peasants and running the risk of revolution, or whether you're going out there and raiding lost treasure stores. It's dangerous work. You guys have to be willing to put your life on the line to do it. If you're not willing to risk your life for your household, why don't you just go join your cousins? Go walk around and be all pretty. Talk to people. I don't want to call them a waste on our household, but be a non-productive member. 4 of you are responsible for what happens to this household. And you guys need to go find a way to make some money. Now, as I said, the best way, the fastest way, is to take it from those who have it. And let's find a way to do that within the bounds of the law. So, does anyone have any ideas on people whose money we can take that is not breaking the law? Not resort to that unless we absolutely have to.
You did say you buried treasure.
You guys aren't ready. You guys, I send you guys into Nixon after that buried treasure. None of you are coming back out.
Well, in that case, Mother, you're well versed in the lands, and Henry with the denizens. Where would you suggest that we go then?
Well, you're all green and untried. You wouldn't all have to be green and untried. She kind of looks vaguely in Raderick's direction. Some of you could have been mighty warriors by this point in their lives. And then kind of just looks back down the bed in general.
With the insult on Raderick, I kind of pop myself up with a little bit of pride.
I'm just kind of looking down at the floor. God damn it.
So, who has money that we can take? Ideas.
Well, there is a lot of empty houses on the street we are on.
I don't know if that qualifies as within the bounds of the law.
That is...
Indeed.
That's the sort of thing that gets us killed. That is a last act of a desperate household. If you think we are so desperate as we need to start robbing our noble neighbors, I'm not going to take it off the books, but that sort of action is just as... that. Oh my god.
Well, the treasure in Nixon, though. If we can go into Nixon and just not have to encounter the monsters, we can get the treasure.
They're sneaky. They're insanely quiet. And if you don't know the layout of the town, you can easily find yourself a few blocks in and surrounded. Now, your older brother has a pretty good sword arm. Let's not lie, he's as strong as 2 oxen. But strength doesn't make up for skill, doesn't make up for experience and knowledge. So, is that it? Do we only have theft? Is that the only way we can survive now?
Well,
surely there's something that we can do that needs doing. Maybe not in the town, maybe outside.
Well, that's what I'm thinking. Henry, how much gold do we need for, in 6 days' time?
I think a little over 200, right, Henry?
Something like that, yes. I think, let me see the numbers here.
It was about 120.
About 200, maybe a little less, 180 if you don't mind giving up all your pocket change. We have a few things we could sell. We could sell Danny's armor and her sword and her shield.
Well, let's not take that route this year.
I would rather rob than to sell Mother's precious gear.
Well, perhaps it doesn't have to be that way. However, I fail to see where we can lawfully get 150 gold in the town on short notice.
Maybe other nobles have things they need doing that they would pay for?
Are we really going to put ourselves under the nobles and even further?
Hired guns for the neighbors? Might as well.
What do you
move.
suggest then, Danny?
Well,
Mother,
there are
Mother,
people.
I have a thought, Mother.
Yes.
There is something that has been bothering me for the longest time about this whole situation, and I know it is. How do I say this? Maybe a touchy subject, but the only people who knew anything about what was in your bag that ultimately was why you were attacked is another noble family. Why not follow up with this noble family and see if there's anything we can do for them? Get in with them and see if anything comes up on that.
You know, that might be a good plan down the line, but right now, if that takes more than a week, we're screwed. That is a plan for when we have room, when we have a couple of months of buffer. That might not pan out. You know, that they might not have anything to do with it, and we could spend weeks or months just looking into that without any results. It's high
I do
risk.
have one random off question, not really an off question, but a question on that subject. I'm not too familiar with the Rugspins, Mother. What color hair do they have?
Ruxpins?
Yes. Do they have blonde hair by any chance?
Hold on, let me take a look here.
That's very circumstantial evidence.
How are the Ruxpins?
They were the ones that she put her up when she was coming back.
Oh, no, it wasn't Rugspins. It was Green Doll. I'm sorry.
There we go. Okay, I was
Yeah,
gonna
Rug's
say.
been Green Doll.
Green
Yeah,
Doll.
Oh, okay, yeah.
yeah.
Brown hair, mostly. I think there are a few blonde ones living with them.
The reason why I ask, and this may not mean anything, but in our search for the culprit that attacked you, we learned that the day prior to the attack, they were spotted exchanging information with a lady in a wool cloak, blonde hair, and here's the kicker. This was in the slums of Town, Mother. The lady they were exchanging information with, she was wearing fantastic boots, according to our source.
The most fantastic boots.
That could still be a wealthy merchant. It could be anything.
You
Regardless, we're not going to be stopping our search. It's just that we need to refocus for a little bit to make sure we get through the month. Otherwise, the house falls and all this is useless. We're not going to
Mad genius,
find
brother.
you.
But boots
Indeed.
are not enough to. It's not enough evidence to launch this investigation of this magnitude.
I agree.
Now, look. I can't see. I can't fight. I can't really do anything for you. You guys are going to have to learn to take care of the household on your own. So, why don't you all head out, talk amongst yourselves, see if you can come up with any plans. Henry, would you shut the door behind them?
What exactly is it that you did?
Excuse me?
To make money.
Well, I know layout of the land a little bit better. There are goblin tribes living in the swamp. There are the monsters of Nixon. There are certain areas of the Thornwood that you can go into that are still guarded by dangerous beasts that have eaten enough people that there's a large amount of wealth there. There are bandits from time to time. Those are always easy pickings.
You think taking on challenges like this would be too much for us?
Did you hear about the fish that have gems inside them?
Oh, that's a tall tale. Do you actually believe that?
No.
Well,
But if there's gems reported, then some people have them, right? They don't just make it out of nowhere.
do you want to become a fisherman?
No. Oh, not at all.
What
I
are
want to
you
go out
suggesting?
adventuring. Well, if there's one report that there's a gem in a fish, then there's a gem somewhere. And if it's a tail, then it can be taken.
that would then be stealing, which again would be an unlawful act.
Well, if that's
Representation of our
But
house.
no one believes that the gems exist, so it doesn't matter, right?
Whatever the source.
why don't you talk amongst yourselves and bring something to me
Oh, okay.
when you figured it out. Henry, please show them out, and I would like a word with you.
Well, Mother, I would like to ask again. It seems that the only way that we're going to get the gold is to actually head out and take it, as you said.
Yep.
And you said that, but on the other side, you said that we're too green to go out.
There are other places. You don't have to go to Nixon.
Right. So where would you suggest that we head, since we are so, as you put it, green?
Son, I'm trying to get you to solve your own problems. I'm trying to get the lot of you to get together, put your heads together, and come up with a solution on your own. You know this land, you know the countryside. You've heard the stories. You know where the monsters are. You know where the beasts are. You know where civilization is. Can the four of you put your heads together, look at what you have at your disposal, and come up with something? If not, I have some suggestions, but if you're going to run the family, you need to be able to work together and come up with original ideas.
And Mother, I fully... Sorry.
Wise uncle, what do you think?
I'm sorry, there were too many people talking. I couldn't hear either of you.
Yeah, I was in the conversation with Danny there, so I'll keep on going if that's cool. Mother, and certainly as running the house, you don't run it all yourself. You don't do the work yourself. You get advice from those who are experts or do know. That is the value of our non-skilled people, as you put it before. Perhaps that's why we're coming to you, because you have been out there. You would probably have good suggestions for us more than our stories, since we haven't actually been out in the wilderness. So perhaps that is all that we're asking. But we can put our heads together and then come back to you and run that by you.
Thank you. Were you about to say something?
I was just being a smart aleck, Mother. Ignore me.
Jonathan. All right. Henry, we need to speak. Throw the children and my brother out, please. So Henry kind of shuffles you out of the room as he hunches over and walks about. And you guys have a whole series of documents that are at your disposal that you can look through and see if anything in here can strike your fancy. If you guys can come up with any creative solutions.
I'm going to head over to Torren, right close to and say, we're going to Nixon.
I don't think Nixon's a good idea. I have an idea, though, that might...
It doesn't matter if it's a bad idea. We go there. We don't have to go in. On the way there, if there's monsters that have came out of Nixon, we'll fight them.
We'll die.
Why does that help us?
I have an idea that might come in handy. It might be a good idea, but give me 1 second real quick. I put my ear up to the wall, Neil, and I listen.
Ooh, what is your chance to detect noise?
I believe it is 60. Let me check.
60?
No,
Yeah.
40.
Wow.
40.
40?
Yeah.
Wow. Did you put like all your points into that?
Yes, I did. So...
that is something I roll in secret because if you don't hear something, you should always expect that you are hearing something.
Yeah.
Or I don't remember how it works exactly.
Yeah, you should think that you're hearing what's going on.
Yeah. So you put your ear to the door, but all you can hear are hushed whispers. Apparently, Danny and Henry are quietly talking to one another.
Okay.
So you guys, I have created a whole sets of things about the world around you guys, and you've got maps. And actually, let's head over to the big map. Where's the town map? The region map.
As we're looking at that, brother, sister, uncle, I believe I may have an ideal. I think whatever we do, we need to look at something that will bring us more than money, but put us in a better position. And on that notion, I think I have an idea. I have heard of, are they like half horse, half men, centaurs in the area? Have you guys heard of them? I hear they are fancy of alcohol. I say we invest some gold and some alcohol, go to them and see if we can strike an accord with them. And they live out in the wilds. I'm sure they would be able to help us. I hear, though, that it can be hard to strike relationships with them. But if we did, that could be a source of great treasure. And also think about the strength that would bring our family if we had an alliance with such fearsome creatures.
Actually, brother, I hate to correct you, not questioning their love of alcohol. However, I think the stories say they get rowdy after having alcohol, and I don't know if we want to have relations with rowdy centaurs as such.
A lot of people get rowdy.
Very bad.
Proudful nobles, I would rather go with the rowdy centaurs.
Yeah, that sounds good, you know. And that's on the way to Nixon, so we can find out more about that.
The other issue with that is, one, how are we going to transport the alcohol across? We're obviously going to need a large supply. Secondly, we don't know if the centaurs actually have a great deal of gold to give to that. Thirdly, we have to actually purchase the alcohol as well on top of that. Now, we do not have the funds to start that up as such. I think that's a good idea, but I think that we might need to wait a little bit before pursuing that, and certainly to suss out, you know, do they have the resources for that? I think we ultimately, I think we are very limited in our decisions. Ultimately, I think we have to go out. We have to do exactly what, follow our house lineage and who we are, and that is to go out and adventure.
I think no matter what we are going to do now, there's going to be risk that we take. I think we need to evaluate it and find something that we can do and it not be totally hostile. I think that this type of expedition would be something along those lines. Really, the only true downside I see to it is investing a little bit of gold into the alcohol, which is not that expensive. Maybe a cart and a donkey, which again is not that expensive.
We do not have a lot of gold.
We have around 50 amongst us.
Also, what if it doesn't work? What if it doesn't give us the gold? We have 6 days.
No matter what we do, we're going to run the risk of what if.
And to say that it's not a hostile land, brother, the whole lands are hostile.
No matter what we do, it's going to be hostile. But if we go on the terms of striking an accord over, let's just kill everything.
I think
this is very unlike you, Jonathan.
I enjoy
very unlike
killing,
you indeed.
but I enjoy surviving more, brother or uncle.
I'm afraid that the situation that we're in may not give us that liberty. Ultimately, we have
what do you
6 days or else.
Brother? What do you propose?
Well, I'm thinking our best bet might be to head north. Goblins from the tails are numerous, but weak. So if we could be cautious, perhaps we could overpower a slightly weaker foe. That might be the best.
I think with that, we run the same risk that we were facing when we faced the gang, and that was numbers. There was 8 of them, 5 of us, and when we go out there, there's only going to be 4 of us against an entire tribe of goblins. 1 goblin alone this week.
I'm not too sure that you've assessed the threat correctly there, brother, because one of those 8 was a warlock who was able to overcome Mother. The other 5, or the other 5 that were there at the time, were just as they were men like us. Goblins are not men.
Yeah, if we're fighting goblins, they're like really stupid and small, so it's like half a person, you know? We can beat that.
Do we know that they have wealth that we can gather?
Ooh.
It would be a shame to go slay goblins and find nothing.
From the stories that Mother has said, it appears that wealth is out there waiting to be picked up everywhere. It's how our house has survived. As the wars, I think, has caused our lands to shrink, just as Wadsworth still shrinks today. And there is a lot of wealth out there. We just need to go out and get it. There's still a risk in that. We may not find anything, but I think all we can do is follow Mother's example.
So, Mother didn't quite tell me, but what happens if we can't pay all the money?
We will pay all the money, little sister. No worries.
Ah,
I think we have 2 possible expeditions on our hand. One, an adventure to search for goblins with the hopes of loot, or 2, a plan to strike an accord with centaurs that one will lead to loot and also bring further strength to our family. Shall we vote amongst ourselves and then take what we decide to, Mother?
She's not in the room.
Or once we've voted, I mean.
Yeah, we're probably gonna head back in there.
I'd like to try out meeting the goblins, and maybe one day when we actually pay the money, we could try out getting the alliance with the centaurs.
Uncle Radric, your thoughts?
Well, any expedition like this seems quite dangerous, but as Danny said, we have to do something. And honestly, I think we have a better chance of treasure with the goblins than the centaurs.
All right, you guys ready to head back to her?
Yeah, I'd say so.
All right. So the party heads back into the room. Henry's sitting on the bed, holding Danny's hand in his 2 hands, stroking it. But as the door opens, they both look in your direction. Danny's eyes are glazed over and doesn't even comprehend you as the 4 of you walk in. And Henry stands up, and Danny says, "So, children, brother, what did you find? What did you come up with?"
We're gonna go rob people. No, that's a joke.
My character actually walks out of the room and just waits outside the room.
Danny, what do you know about the goblins to the north? I think they said.
Goblins in the marsh? They live
Yes.
deep in the marsh, northeast mostly. They are a mixed bag of nuts.
Have you known them to have treasure?
Oh yes, they mine small amounts of wealth, not in the same way that we do. They definitely accrue things from from the humans that they kill. The only issue is that goblins, that is their home. There are goblins that are simple hunter-gatherers, and then there are goblin war bands that gather together in order to hunt down humans, elves, or whatever else they can find. Now, I have no problems with goblins hunting elves in the Thornwood. I encourage it, actually. But the mounted goblins are a little more dangerous. And they know the swamp well. It's not a bad place to go. But you have to be careful of the mounted ones.
Have you heard of the goblins having a magician?
Yes, they have some sort of sorcerer or witch or shaman, supposedly. I believe those rumors to be true. It's just like such savage and cowardly creatures to fall upon magic as a source of power. They don't know what they do.
Well, if this is true, it may be a problem, but I believe it's the best thing we've come up with so far.
The frogmen in the swamp are friendly, and there are currently quite good relationships between us and them.
Yes, I have heard they like to trade.
Yes. That is...
What exactly do they like in return for?
Oh, the things
They're
that they
good.
cannot produce. Baubles here and there, but... Again, trade can only bring in so much money. At best, you can hope to double your investment. And from
Indeed.
what Henry says, we don't have that sort of income. But those frogmen do have things that they trade. They do have things that can be converted into wealth. I don't know if we want to go and
Kill them.
that would be legal. It would be legal.
Are they well armed? Are they good fighters?
Not particularly well armed. I don't know of any accounts of them fighting, but they do survive in the swamp with the goblins, so they must be able to defend themselves on some level. They often ride giant beetles. Maybe that's what keeps people at bay. The beetles are big hordes.
Yes, that does sound quite frightening.
Yes. Goblins? Are you all decided? Goblins in the marsh?
Yeah, of course.
Yes, I think this is what we decided.
Okay. Well, best of luck. Remember, you will not get anywhere if you don't risk anything. At some point, you're going to have to put your lives on the line. Just be very careful when you do. But confidence is the key to everything. It is better to make a bad decision boldly than to waffle around and make no decision at all. Good luck. I hope all of you come back alive. And, well, I guess that's all there is to say.
We'll come back alive and more wealthy.
And thank you for your sentiments, Mother.
Okay. Well then.
Right.
Goodbye.
We shall be off
Yep.
immediately.
What sort of preparations do you want to make before you go? How long do you expect you're going to be out in the swamp? You should make sure you bring enough food and water to last that whole time there. And if there's anything else that you want to get beforehand, we should do it right now.
Yeah, I'd say a maximum of 6 days, because if we take longer than that, then, well, we're going to be debt. Although, I guess we could be a little bit late in paying our debts, etc. But, do they have interest on debts?
And this is the sort of thing where if you guys can't pay up at the end of the month, you're just, by the time... So if you come back a day late, their things will have been auctioned off in the house, or if there's not enough in the house to sell, the house will be, sold.
Wow, after a day, that is some efficient debt collecting.
Yeah, well, it is an age of strife, and the people who are collecting debts are on top of it, because everyone's broke, and they do come with enforcers. And the only person that could possibly resist the debt collectors is now blind and infirmed in bed. Henry can't hope to hold them off on his own. He's like 90 years old.
Yeah.
You have a link to the economics spreadsheet?
Yeah. I'll link you to it.
I believe we
bookmark
should-
it in the future.
We should take
Right,
some rations and some water.
Putting it in
And-
the chat.
What other things do we need for the swamps? What would we anticipate?
Well, we'll have to be able to set up camp somewhere. But camping in a swamp seems not only
So some-
dangerous but disgusting.
Uncle Radrick, have you been camping?
Oh yes, when I was it was a long time ago. Back before that bear attack.
Are any of you... You noticed how Mother was clearly underestimating us, but telling us to take risks? Well, I think like
Yes.
we're perfectly capable of doing this.
Well, yes, but little sister, mother is going through a lot of stress at the moment, and she's always been rather stubborn and, well, conflicted.
I believe your mother may have some slightly unreasonable expectations of us, but we will have to do our best.
Indeed, we have no choice. Well, on the economics, the rations standard. Oh, there is last one week. Cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, so each one of those rations is 1 day's worth of food, and a standard ration will last a week. So that's 2 silver for 4 pounds of food that will last you a day.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry. You said each one of those is for a day.
Yeah. So 2 silver for
it
4
says
pounds
last
of
one.
food that lasts that will feed you for a day, but they will survive for a week.
Ah, gotcha.
That makes sense.
Cool.
Yeah.
So how much of that are you buying?
I believe we should each get at least 5 days worth. I don't know how long this will take, but just to be safe.
That is
How you
a lot. Sorry.
We gotta get dry rations then, because 4 pounds times 5 is 20 pounds. Can anyone here fit 20 pounds besides me?
No, I cannot. Not without being incumbent. I think incumbents will have me dead.
You have a good point. I can only carry 4 more pounds. There's a very specific amount that I'm sure I can carry.
Does anyone have a rope?
I do have
Indeed.
I do have a rope.
No.
Maybe we should purchase a pole to make sure that the swamps are traversable. Maybe a 10-foot pole.
I can add a 10-foot pole to the.
What's the pole for?
It's to make sure that I've heard stories of people taking a step forward and then disappearing into the muck.
So how does the pole help?
As you walk, you prod the ground in front of you to make sure it's secure.
Oh, I thought like you were gonna like poke the goblins from far away, and I was like, why not just use a bow?
That is also a very safe option.
Yeah.
And sister, I'm not really cut out for the bow.
No, okay.
All right, 10-foot pole has been added to the economics table. It costs 2 silver and it weighs a pound.
Is there flint and steel?
There's a tinder box,
Oh.
which includes flint and steel. It's 5 silver, weighs 1 pound.
Okay, so for all the expenses we're doing right now, just write it underneath the table, and then we can work it out. We'll take it out. Take it out of the treasury.
Ben, just track group funds. Don't worry about our individual funds.
Yeah.
Can anyone carry all this food we need?
I can
Anyone?
carry it. I can carry our food. I still have, even in plate, I can still carry another 40 pounds or so. Yeah, 45 pounds before I'm lightly encumbered.
Lightly encumbered, just so you all know, reduces your movement rate from 12 to 9, but there are no combat penalties other than just slower movement rate.
Yeah, I'm already lightly encumbered pretty badly.
I think Torin is the big guy with lots of AC and armor, so his movement won't be quite as bad because obviously me and Radric are quite squishy and would want to stay far away and do ranged combat, so need our full speed.
Ben, I'm still at base encumbrance. I'm still at 12.
Oh, cool.
I've also bought us a 10-foot pole.
All right.
Wonderful.
Always wanted one of them.
I like this image of you having just tons of things just like strapped to your body. You have like 3 backpacks.
What does it look like to carry a 10-foot pole on you?
Hey, we could have done the alcohol. You just load me up with the cask of ale.
So spin. I'm keeping track of how much gold and everything my character had. I got a list of items I'm getting. I'm spending a total of 3.9 gold, brings me down to 5.7. I'll put it all in the document.
Okay.
Okay.
And Neil, water skins, going through the swamps, I'm guessing we don't really think we can be refilling it that often.
Yeah, swamp water is not good to drink. There could be leeches in that swamp water, throat leeches, which attach themselves to the inside of your throat and then suck your blood until they actually block your entire throat, and then you can't breathe and die. The only way to really get rid of them is to pour boiling water down your throat, which I don't have to tell you is a bad idea.
Yeah.
How much does each water skin do one day?
It's 2 pounds of water. It's a quart of water. Yeah, one water skin's roughly a day.
Right.
2 pints. That's enough for a day. So I need to buy a water skin.
Okay.
Actually, you probably need to buy about 5 of them.
I can't go carrying 5 of them.
The Lazet River is drinkable water, of course.
Okay.
So let's talk about movement through the swamp. All of you have spent some small amount of time in the swamp. It is a gross, mucky place, like you would expect in a swamp. That's called the Stinking Marsh. There's some sort of vegetation out there that rots consistently and gives the entire marsh this smell of death and decay and rotting things. But let's talk about movement through the swamp. It is not great. You move at... Where's marsh? Swamp? I think you move at 1/3 movement rate through the swamp just because it's so thick and gross. My book. My notes.
Does that apply for overland travel or for all movement?
All movement through the swamp.
Well, this could be a death sentence for the party if we can't move that fast. There'll be no running away.
That also means other things can't move that quickly either. Except for things that are specially designed to move through swamps, like snakes. They're pretty good moving through swamps. Anything
Possibly
that can walk on
frogmen.
water. Frogmen, that's questionable. You guys, I don't think any of you have ever encountered any of these frogmen that ride on these beetles, but yeah. I think it's reasonable to expect that goblins would have just as much trouble getting through the swamp as you. They might be a little bit more adept at it because they live there all the time. But it's lots of high ground followed by wet, watery stuff, followed by logs that are sticking out and slippery footing and moss and all this gross thing. So generally speaking, you have to pick your way slowly. If you try and run flat out through the swamp, there's a good chance you will slip and fall on your face. Alright, so is everyone geared up and ready to go?
I'm going to buy at least 1 water skin. I don't feel like carrying more than that because then I'll be way too close to my encumbrance level. So if anyone wants to carry loads more of them, they can do.
I can do. I'm just thinking there's a swamp and being such a dangerous terrain. Does that change our minds on where we might want to go?
No.
And if so, what are the other possibilities?
The forest would be a good one.
I think humans are banned and the elves are pretty nasty.
No, I think we've got 3 miles worth of forest usage.
Yeah, the first 3 miles are tentatively human territory.
Well, I mean, perhaps we could investigate, just ask if it's possible that there would be crypts or treasure or anything like that in the first 3 miles. Just to make
No,
sure.
it's all pretty well maintained. It's like
Right.
the sort of, well, at least right around Wadsworth, it's all well maintained. It's
Yeah.
harvested so people can use the resources, and anything in that area is taken care of. But maybe further south near the Meadowlands, or even all the way down near the Barrens, the first 3 miles might be more interesting. It's hard to know.
Also, I guess we're also limited by a 3-day turnaround. So, how far can we get in 3 days?
You can get 24 miles in a day if it's good terrain, like on a road. If you're walking through the Meadowlands, you can probably get like 20 miles in a day. If you're walking through the swamp, you should expect to get like 3 miles per day. No, that's not true. Maybe like 5 miles per day. Not a lot.
If it's a third, it'd be 8.
8.
All right, so that's another possibility. The forest. Shall we have a new vote? Forest or marsh?
We don't know of anything in the forest that would help us, do we?
There's beasts, but I don't feel like they have
a
as
little
much.
bit and go to a different forest one place.
Yeah, I think we covered that one.
Alright. Okay, are you guys decided?
All right, so marsh it is.
Alright, why don't we take our first break, and when we come back, the players will launch themselves into the stinking marsh on their first out-of-town adventure. See you guys on the other side of our break. Bye-bye.